Hello, Yemi. Good afternoon. Hello. Yemi, who else is here? Okay. We have 3 people. If you can hear me, just give me a signal or something. Okay, Yemi, you raised your hand. Thank you so much. Who else is here? Udofia. Okay, thank you for joining. Adeboyejo Adedapo, thank you for joining. Yeah. Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just wait for one more person to join us and then we'll run along. So let me stop my screen sharing for a while. Okay, hello, everyone. Good, good afternoon, all of you, wherever you are. So someone is in a very windy place. Can you just, yeah, I appreciate if you can turn off your mic. Okay, I'll just mute everyone. You can unmute yourself when you want to say anything. So can we turn on our videos? We don't have much time to do this. I think I have about 40 minutes because I'm not using a premium account. I'm using a free account, so we'll have just about 40 minutes. So if it disconnects, we'll join in again somewhere along the line. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel, but in the meantime, I would like you guys to turn on your video so I can see your faces and know who is who. Yeah, so kindly turn on your videos. Okay, this is Udofia. Udofia, good afternoon. How are you? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, me, good to see you too. Adeboye Jo. Yeah, it's looking like an all-men affair. Well, no problem. We're good to go. All right. Because I don't have much time, I'll just run along and if other people join us, they'll catch up on the way. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate this. Okay, so let's get into it. There's no time. Good. All right. Sweet. Let's do it. Hello, my name is Daniel. And just a little bit of background into what I want to do today. Okay, so I'm not. Let me start with introducing myself. I think that makes more sense. My name is Daniel Oladoja. I am the communications and knowledge management person at the Nigeria Climate Innovation Center. And I am a fellow of the Young African Leadership Initiative, West Africa, Accra, Ghana. I did that in 2017. And I currently hold 3 offers from 3 universities in the UK. So that's pretty much what I have done with regards to the whole educational sphere. But like I said, I'm a communications person, which means that all my life, all I have done is communications. Though my background is in agricultural sciences, I did agricultural science for my first degree, agricultural science for my second degree, master's particularly. I've always had my head and neck in communications and public relations, media, as a radio presenter, as a writer. I have self-published a couple of books, about 4 of them. So I pretty much understand the writing space, right? And how you can conjure words together to get results or to make people feel a certain way. And like I said, I am not a scholar in the sense of one Commonwealth scholarship or any of the scholarships. And I'll explain why I didn't push for those things very early. For me, it's been about exploring and finding where exactly I want to put my head and what I want to do with my life passionately, right? So at one point, I loved media. So I explored media, and after doing media, I found I'm like, oh man, this thing. But it all came together for me when I took up the job at the Nigeria Climate Innovation Center as the communications and knowledge management lead. And I just realized that, wow, this is really where it's all coming together. Development, climate change, environmental protection. I think this is my thing. And that was when I decided, okay, I think it's now time to jump into this whole international thing, trying to get admission, applying for scholarships, fellowships, and all. Because you need to have a sense of direction and a sense of mission before you jump into this thing. Otherwise, you're going to be sounding like a lot of other people. And that's one of the biggest problems I see. So I review essays and personal statements. I have written for people. No, I've not written for people, but I have reviewed a lot of personal statements, application essays, and all of that. And I don't like what I read. I do not enjoy what I've been reading. And that is why I wanted to do this, because it's easier for me to do this than to review one. I feel like doing this will make the whole review process, even if I have to review your application or your essay or your personal statement eventually, having this conversation kind of sets the background to what I feel we should do. And I'm not going to come here. What I am offering today is different from what you get normally. I want to do a little bit of, I want to approach this as a writer, not as a scholar looking for scholarship, right? So that's the perspective I am coming from. And I please want you to follow me. Thank you, Michael Olufemi, for joining us. It's finally good to see your face. Thumbs up to you. Thank you for joining. Right, so let's get into this. So I call this crafting killer essays, and I have 10 commandments to give you. I'm a copywriter, so we stylishly want to say things in a way that is fun and engaging, right? So let's dive in. What we're going to do today, we're going to look at why most essays fail, what makes a quality essay, what nobody tells you about essays, why essays are the easiest way to actually get what you want in terms of scholarship, name them, right? The easiest way to sell yourself, using what you have to get what you want, right? And how to stop helping your village people. That one sounds funny, but then you understand what I mean as I go on. Okay, so this is like a bombshell, and I know it might sound like, what's this? But trust me, you are 60 seconds away from the trash bin. I have 3 books I'm going to give away today for everyone who is on this meeting. I'm going to give away 3 books. The 3 books are on essays, scholarships, personal statements, right? One of them is available, you can download it. The other 2 may not be so easy to find. So I'll give you those 3 books. You can do anything you want with it. You understand why you need the book later, Sha. But you are 60 seconds away from the trash bin. I was reading one of those books, and this was what I found, that you are 60 seconds away from the trash bin, right? When the reviewers take your essay, they have 60 seconds to make a decision as to whether they're going to enjoy your essay or as to whether they're going to even think the whole vibe, whether you're going to get the scholarship or you're going to get admission or you're even going to be considered favorably as an applicant, happens in 60 seconds. You are 60 seconds away from the trash bin, means that the moment they open your essay, the first 1 minute of your write-up, it's the deciding factor of your entire application. And this is not a joke, it is true. When people send me their applications or send me their essays or send me their motivation letters, the moment I read your first paragraph, I know whether you've written something that is going to be engaging or something that is just wishy-washy. Your first paragraph just makes me understand what I'm getting into. And once your first paragraph does not impress me, I'm just going to coast along, right? Just coast along and move on, right? Pretty much that. Why is writing so hard? So I just told you now, you are 60 seconds away from the trash bin. What I mean is that between you and, okay, so these days they don't print anymore, they just read. But before, when printing was the thing, the moment an applicant looks at your essay, he has 60 seconds between squeezing it and throwing it in the dustbin or deleting and moving on to the next person. So why is writing so hard? The answer is simple. Writing was meant to separate the brave from the fearful. I did not say separate the smart from the stupid. I said separate the brave from the fearful, because it takes a lot of guts to write. Trust me, anybody can wake up, grab the mic, and start talking. Anybody can stand up in front of their camera and start vomiting verbiage. But it takes a lot of guts to hold your pen, hold your keypad, and write something. And all it takes to write is guts. Plenty of guts and patience. That's what it takes to write a good application. So writing is not for the chicken-hearted. Writing is for the brave-hearted. Writing is a thing for people who are courageous, right? So you have to be very, very courageous to write. And another thing I have to say is that you need a very high dose of self-esteem. I know they talk about inferiority complex, but you need high self-esteem to write. Because what I see, and I'll get into it, why writing? Let me finish what I was saying before. When I read a lot of writing, I see inferiority complex in what people write, right? So why writing? Because, okay, so let me tell you something. My thoughts about scholarships. Let me give you a real truth about scholarships. The easiest scholarships to get are the ones that don't have interviews. Take it. The easiest fellowships, the easiest scholarships, and which is why I personally like the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. You know why? It's all down to the quality of your lessons. That's all. So all you need to do is sit down and write something that is wowsome. Nobody's going to interview you. Nobody's going to ask you to do a 1-minute video. It's purely about quality. It's purely about what they can see on paper. There's nothing else. Aside from your transcript, your CV, your educational background, your qualifications, whether you passed or not, there's nothing else. The only other thing is, hey, on paper, is this guy worth it? I mean, imagine that somebody wants to give you a scholarship like the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is worth about £25,000 or thereabouts. Imagine that someone wants to give you £25,000, which is almost 12 million naira or thereabouts, and all they want to see is just 3,000 words of quality essay, quality write-up, nothing more than that. Like, guys, it's like the biggest scam on this. Like, I have to write 3,000 words and I'm eligible for £25,000. That is as easy as it can get anywhere. But is it that easy? No. So it's purely about your quality. And writing is an opportunity to sell yourself. And there is zero chance of discrimination. So take for instance, you could look at this. Some of you have not seen my face before. You don't know what I look like. You've probably seen my face right now. You'll be like, he's not cute enough. I don't like him. He doesn't have full hair. He doesn't have beards, like, whatever. It could just be like he's not a lanky. I would have been more comfortable if he's lanky and huge and all of that. All those discriminations don't come into play. You don't know me. You've not seen my face. There's no opportunity to discriminate, right? Public speaking is the number one of all phobias, right? People fear public speaking more than they fear a gun, right? So there's no need for that because you're writing, yeah? And you don't need to worry about what to wear. Like, coming for this now, I had to think, okay, what do I put on? I'm wearing a t-shirt and a round neck. No stress, just having a conversation. But if it were to be an interview, guys, I would have to wear a tie, probably wear my glasses so I can look like a scholar and all of that. By the way, I wear glasses, but it's in my wardrobe. I'm not sure I can stand up and go pick it. And I just wanted to, I wear glasses Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So sometimes it's actually exciting to take the glasses off. Yeah, you can tell, right? Wearing the glasses is a burden. so every time I get the opportunity to remove it, I just want to remove it and throw it somewhere else. So you don't need to worry about what to wear, right? And there's more room for creativity. Let's say you walk into a room, you have an interview, you're trying to be as formal as possible. You don't know, you're just looking for words like, okay, what should I say? What should I not say? You probably even are not allowed to complete your thought before you are bombarded with the next question. But when you're writing, it's just you and the paper or your keyboard, right? And your computer. There's no room for There's more room for creativity, and there's minimal distractions. What I mean is, let's say you walk into an interview panel, um, and I have walked into interview panels where the person is receiving a phone call or doing a lot of things, or somebody walks in. There are a lot of devilish things that happens with interviews anyway. So when I see opportunities, scholarships that is just down to me writing, bro, I jump on it because I know it's as easy as between me and the person. The paper is what determines, and it's up to the quality of my write-up. And there's less bias. There's really less bias. It's easy to sell yourself on paper, right? Because you might look like somebody's ex-boyfriend that broke their heart. You might be wearing somebody's worst color on a bad day, and you're just like, no, I don't want you, right? So writing is literally the easiest way to sell yourself, guys, believe me. What are the common errors I have seen? Writing without a goal. So if you use Grammarly, you have to, one of the things Grammarly asks you is, what's your goal? Are you trying to convince, persuade, inform, influence, and all of those things? When you're writing a personal statement, your personal statement is supposed to do three things. It's supposed to introduce you to the panel. It's also supposed to sell you. It's also supposed to convince them. It's also supposed to inform them a little bit. So there has to be a goal for anything you're writing. And generally, for scholarships, for personal statements, motivation letters, the umbrella goal is two things. One, to inform and to convince them that you're the guy, right? Another thing, so I see a lot of people write, and the goal is fusy, kind of. And I see a lot of unnecessary details. My father died when I was 8 years old. My mom fainted when I was 5. My younger sister died when I was 3. My school was, there were 7 rivers before you get to my school. Just unnecessary details. Geography was my best subject. My mathematics teacher beat me. So that was why I didn't know, I struggled with mathematics. A lot of things that are important but unnecessary. They are important, but they are totally unnecessary. And when you're writing, you have to stick to what is necessary. So it might be important to you as a person, but the question to ask yourself is this actually necessary? Is this nothing to be in my write-up? Grammatical errors, terrible, plenty. And I don't mean spelling mistakes, punctuation errors, a lot. I also see pandering to PT, right? I see a lot of pandering to PT. People want to make it look like life they've been on the receiving end of all the negatives in this world. There's a reason why they talk about difficulty, right? If you're not writing a difficulty essay where the question is asked that, okay, if you've overcome any challenge, tell us specifically the challenge. Praise, you said you can't hear anything. You would have to connect with, I don't know what's going on with your audio connection. I think it has to do with your audio connection. So maybe you should disconnect and join again and try again. You can leave the room and then join again, and let's see. Okay, so pandering to PT, people blow, they just overblow the bad things that have happened to them. Probably just trying to make the reviewers know that you deserve it. Another one is systematic plagiarism. And I call it systematic plagiarism because you just sound pretty much like every other person that I can, and you can do it. With Nigerians, right? Take 10 essays and review them, motivation letters or personal statements. You realize that everybody is sounding like the other person. The introduction has to do with your name, the school you went to, your grade. The next thing they say is the challenge they had. It's just pretty much the same thing. Then they go into the details of the course, the modules. Then I hear things like the modules, the course content, and then they do, they just throw things around and they mention the name of the professor and they say the mentor motivates, the professor motivates me. That's why I want to study under R. And I'm like, bro, you're sounding like every other person. And let me tell you the key thing the key big thing about any essay, motivation letter, any one of them, is uniqueness. Uniqueness. You have to be downright authentic and original and different. In branding, they talk about unique selling points. You have to be different from every other person. Look, all of us, I'm going to show you a couple of my essays, right? So you understand what I'm saying. Lack of authenticity is another one. You just sounded like every other person. Too much formality. Nigerians will almost want to say, they will almost want to greet the person that is reading, "Good afternoon, man." That's how crazy it is. It's overly formal, overly academic, overly just formal. Look, when you're writing these essays, you don't worry, we'll get into it later. I don't want to jump myself. Then lack of creativity. It's just boring and bland. There's something called figures of speech, right? Those things are meant to be used. There's a reason why they taught us those things when we were writing elementary essay in secondary school. People just forget these things. And guys, listen. I'm talking to, if I was talking to secondary school students who are looking for admission, certain things are allowed, right? But you are a graduate. A graduate essay should sound like the work of a graduate. When I read a lot of essays, they sound like the works of someone who is not even an undergraduate. It's boring. There's no creativity. Language is meant to be used. Guys, I don't know how to make this. I don't know how to explain this to you. The whole essence of my conversation to you today, and it may sound more like a very big deal, but I feel it is important. The essence of writing is to create feelings. Writing should do two things. It should touch people's head and touch their hearts. When you are writing any essay, motivation letter, personal statement, it should do two things. It should touch the head of the reader and touch the heart of the reader. That is why in public speaking, we used to say that there's the logos and the ethos, right? There's the logical part of your writing. There's the emotional side of your writing also, right? And you need to be able to combine those two, okay? Sorry, I'm not. Okay, next thing. So I've mentioned all the errors. Now let me go into the 10 commandments I said I want to give. Please forgive me. I'm not forming with this. I've not spoken in a very long while, like lengthy conversations in a while. So I constantly run out of fluid. All right, so begin with, I have 10 commandments. Like, I love to make my presentations easy to remember. So I'm going to give you my 10 commandments. And these are they. Number one, begin with a clear goal. For any essay you want to write, you need to have a clear goal that's as clear as daylight. So when you're applying for a scholarship like Chevening or Commonwealth Shared, they give you prompters, right? Sometimes they ask you to share your leadership experience. Sometimes they ask you to share a difficult situation. If you're applying for a fellowship like the Mandela Washington Fellowship, they want you to talk about a scenario where something happened and you were able to come up with an innovative idea or solution. So, but generally there has to be a goal. So when I'm writing, I'm currently writing 2 essays for a particular scholarship. I've written 1. In the 2 essays are 300 words. I've written 1. I'm writing the current. I'm writing 1 at the moment. And I spend more time deciding my goal than even thinking of what to write. I want to establish my goal. I want to sit down and say, okay, by the time the person reading this essay is done reading, what do I want? Okay, so the goal has to be clear. I want this person to be convinced. I want to convince this person that I deserve this scholarship. I want to, so let's leave all this convince, persuade, inform, let's leave those ones. Okay, so they've asked you to write an essay on why do you deserve this scholarship. So, like the essay I wrote, which I wish I can share, but maybe I'll share it later. Pray for me. If I get the scholarship, I'll share it. The first thing I ask myself is, what do I want to do with this essay? They've given me an opportunity to talk. What do I want to say? What do I want them to hear? So I say, okay, in this essay, I'm going to let them know how skillful I am, the skills I've built, my competencies, the things I've done with myself. And then I'm going to talk about my career aspirations. So that just helps me decide what is going into the essay. So every other thing about my life doesn't come in. So I just want to talk about my skills, my competence, my leadership experience, the exposure I have, and my plans, my future goals. That's all I want to talk about in this essay. Because left to all of us, we can talk about anything. We can talk about everything we've done with our lives. Okay? So establishing a clear goal helps you to narrow down everything and reduce it to what is important. Number 2, organize or outline your thoughts. So when I'm done with that, I then want to organize. I want to outline. Outlining is something we have all done in our undergraduate studies. Some people call it mind mapping. There are different words for it, right? It's a big deal. I mean, we can actually do a webinar on outlining, but the basic of outlining is this: there has to be an introduction, a middle part, and a conclusion. There has to be an introduction. Let me say it again. The middle part or middle section, the body, which is called the body, and then the conclusion. That's just the basic of it. For every essay, and this is the beautiful thing, guys, you need to do this for every essay you're writing. So for example, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship has about 13 questions in all. For every of those questions, there has to be an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. For all of them. For each one, even the ones that are just 200 words. Right? There has to be a subtle introduction, a body, and sometimes a subtle conclusion. Right. Then number 3, which is very important. Number 3 is this is a problem. This is a problem. This is a serious problem with writing, building your registers. When we were in secondary school, we did something called, if you use Project English or Practical English or any of these textbooks, when you finish a particular comprehension passage, at the end of that passage, they give you like 25 words, and they want you to use those words to maybe complete, those things we used to do. We call them registers. Registers are specific words that are used in different professions. So if you're in the medical world, there are medical registers. Let me give you an example. I applied for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, that's the only scholarship I pretty much shot for this year. And when I was going to start my application, I realized that despite the fact that I am a communications person in climate change, I needed to do more. I needed to do more. Zoom just told me that I can go for 1 hour. So beautiful. I don't even know how much time I've spent. Wow, 31 minutes. Goodness me. This is serious. Wow. I didn't know I've been talking for 40 minutes. No wonder I was just gulping water. Okay. Yeah, colored water, whatever you call it. Okay, registers. Let's say, so I was talking about my personal experience. You know what I did, guys? You know what I did? I realized that I needed to, and this is the idea. This is the whole concept of registers. The people who are going to read your essays, are two classes of people. The people at the funding organization and the people at the academic institution you want to study at. And a lot of times they give these applications to professionals in those fields. So if you're going into development, you need to look for what are the registers, the terminologies that they use in development, and then use that in your essay. So in development, they use words like inequality, injustice, social equity, social injustice, marginalization, sustainability, all those words that they throw around. Now, I'm not saying use the very technical ones. No, look at the words that they throw around loosely in those fields. Inclusivity, all those words that they throw around in your field. You need to know those words. And you need to write with those words. They are called buzzwords, right? They are keywords that you need to know in every field. And it's important that you include those keywords in your writing. Okay, so typically, my example, what I did was I had to subscribe for about 3 podcasts, right? Climate change related podcasts. And then the next thing I did was I subscribed on Script. Script helps you with audiobooks and paid books also. So I paid for Script. I subscribed to like 3 podcasts which were free. And every morning for 2 weeks, that was all I was doing. Number 1, I wanted to build my registers. Number 2, I wanted to understand what was going on in that space. Even though I work in climate, right, I realized I didn't know enough about climate. And that is why I push people to apply for scholarships these days, because the pressure it gives you. I'm telling you, I became a better professional after writing. If I don't win the Commonwealth Chair Scholarship, which I don't wish for, I am still grateful I tried it, because it made me a better professional. It made me a better person on my job. I know more. The research I did to write the scholarship essays made me a better person on my job. It gave me broader insights into the issues in climate change and development, right? And that is because another thing I see with a lot of Nigerian scholars is everybody has only one line of thought. I want to study masters so that I can come back and contribute to the development of my nation. How? By teaching other people what I know. How? By becoming a lecturer. That's all we all say. And it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than that, right? I can say I want to be an academic, for instance, but the way I've built my conversation, the narrative I have created is so strong that you will know that this guy that there is more to this guy than even being a lecturer. It just shows you that I'm not writing I want to be a lecturer because of lack of exposure. I'm writing a lecturer because I have decided that this is what I want to do. And it doesn't take too long for me to know that you don't know what you're talking about, right? So what I see with another thing I see with a lot of Nigerian scholars is there's no exposure. So what was I looking for? Why did I subscribe for 3 podcasts? Why did I have to pay $8 every month on Script? I was looking for exposure. I wanted to see what the current thoughts are. I just didn't want to do Google. I didn't want to just do YouTube. I want to know what the industry is, what's happening in that industry. I wanted to know what's happening in that space. I wanted to understand what's going on in that sphere so that when I'm writing as an insider, not as an outsider. I'm not just writing academic jargons. I'm not just writing about my research in school. I'm not just writing about the research I want to do. I'm writing about the research and how it connects to current day issues, current day problems with statistics, with figures, with policy implications, and a lot of other things that just makes you know that I am an expert that is waiting for awesome privilege to become a professional. Right. The next thing is your introduction. Remember I said you have 60 seconds to convince your reviewer that you're worth it. So begin with a bang. Introduction is essential. A lot of times the introductions I read just breaks my heart. A lot of our brothers and sisters are not trying with introduction. A typical example is, my name is so, 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 and so. How do you start an essay with your name? Motivation letter. You don't start a motivation letter or a personal statement with your name. I mean, that is archaic. It's archaic. And in 2021, Nigerians still write like that. My name is Olabisi Odabanjo. I went to Agoiwoye Polytechnic. I had a first class. And so what? Who cares? I mean, the ridiculous thing I see is I went to the highly rated Obafemi Awolowo University. What is highly rated about Obafemi Awolowo University? Where is Obafemi Awolowo University in the 1,000 schools? See, sentiment aside, right? Those things don't count. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying your school is not important, so we don't enter another institution was, say, where did you finish from? Why are you dissing our school? But all those things, like I went to the highly rated Obafemi Awolowo University, or I studied at the reputable Federal University of Technology, Akure. Look, nobody cares. And if it has worked for people, it has worked because, well, sometimes this thing works. But compared to what other people, go and look at statements of purposes of students that get admission to Harvard. Go and look at the statement of purpose of students that get admission to Stanford, Oxford, and some of these crazy reputed schools. You don't see their names or the name of the secondary school they went to or the name of, all those things are non-essentials. Your introduction has to be, and this is what I say when I teach public speaking back then. I used to do an experiment. I call it the Big Bang experiment for public speaking. So I say, assume that everybody is sleeping, right? Assume that you walk into a hall, 1,000-seater hall, and everybody in the 1,000-seater hall is sleeping. Now, we give you only a microphone, just a microphone. You're not allowed to touch the microphone. You're not allowed to hit the microphone. You're not allowed to do anything. But we want you to wake everybody up by saying something. What would you say? Think about it. We want you to wake 1,000 people up. Snoring, 1,000. Sleeping, snoring, lost in dreamland. What would you say to 1,000 people to make sure that every single person in that hall is awake? What would you say? That's the experiment. And it gets people thinking. Now imagine that the person who is reading your essay is sleeping. And you have to wake that person up in 100 words. What would you write? That's the experiment I want you to do. Because you need to assume that the person who is reading is sleeping. You want to grab their attention. You want to suck them in from the beginning, from the very introduction of your writing. Because you never get a second chance to make a good impression, a good first impression. So you have to write. Your introduction is as important as everything. That first opening line, or 100 words or 150 words, must be as sweet, as captivating, as creative, as lethal as possible. Okay? Then, when you've done that, the next thing is say more with less. Another mistake I see is people talk too much. They just ramble. And I'll get to something that I have that is a problem with Nigerian students also. So I want to say, imagine me, I want to say that, listen to this conversation. When I was coming here today, I took a bike and the road was bad and the driver was drunk. And so when we were coming, he ran into the pothole, and unfortunately there was a trailer that was coming. He meandered and we were able to stand up on time. Luckily for us, nobody died. Have I said what? I've narrated a story, right? But I've wasted words. Now imagine another person coming and saying, on my way here on a bike, unknown to me, the driver was drunk. A few meters before I got here, we ran into a pothole. A trailer was coming. The bike was on the ground. I was struggling for my life. And the next thing I knew was I was standing face to face with the trailer while I was lying on the ground. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, someone quickly ran to the scene and pulled me out. We have both said the same thing. But in my own story, I have used less words. I have used suspense. I have built anticipation. And I have spoken in an active word, in an active voice, right? The other person has made it flat, narrative, but I have tried to make the same story a thriller. And I'll give you practical illustrations later. Next thing is, not be only you kill Jesus. And that's number 6. People talk too much about their hardship, especially in personal statements. It just looks like, yeah, we know. You don't have the money. That's why you're applying for the scholarship. And you have to make it clear. But the idea is to say, I am smart, I am determined, I am intelligent, I am ambitious, but I have limitations. And this is one of the limitations. So take, for instance, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship says you should talk about a difficulty you overcame. And I had challenges when I was schooling, yeah? I had to wear my roommate's clothes because it was bad. It was really bad. The best clothing I have were not mine. They were the ones that were given to me. They were my roommate's clothes. Sometimes I wear his slippers, his sandals because they were my size. It was that bad. But I realized that uniqueness is something I have to share. And I realized I'm not the only one with that kind of story. There are several people with a similar story. There are several people who will say they lost their parents. There are several people who would say that they didn't have money, that they borrowed clothes like I did. So I decided to use a different story. Because the idea is, I don't want to sound like everybody else. So I decided to talk about the fact that I failed mathematics. I had to write SSC 4 times before I could pass mathematics, right? But even at that, I tried to make the story, I didn't make myself, I tried to make myself a winner, to say that, look, I struggled, I found a solution, I won, and this was what it did, right? For me. So another problem is, every time you write something, anytime you write a story, every time you bring up an illustration, like I was reading someone's essay lately, and the person was talking about how his parents were migrants to Lagos. And there was nothing else to support the fact that you said your parents migrated to Lagos for greener pastures. You just put the information there. And then you went to talk about the population issues of Lagos and how you want to learn city design and all those things. The question you should ask yourself is, for every bit of detail you're putting into your write-up, why is it there? I said I failed mathematics 4 times, right? But in the end, I succeeded. But what it has taught me, what that experience has taught me is, it taught me patience, it taught me endurance, it taught me how to continue in the face of challenges, and how I can learn anything if I just put in the hard work. So I went on to say that That particular experience laid the foundation for who I am today. For instance, I do graphics design, which I taught myself, right? By watching videos. I do video editing, which I taught myself. So instead of saying I do video editing, I do graphics, and I just said I use a complex suite of advanced editing softwares that I taught myself how to use. Can you see now? Failing mathematics, I had to write it 4 times. What did it do? It taught me patience. It taught me that hard work. It helped me to develop grit, right? But then it gave me this confidence that I can succeed at anything. So when I was handed these complex editing tools, because I had dealt with mathematics that was more complicated, I could face this complexity and handle it. So it tells you that this young man is able to handle complex scenarios. So it's not just about my past, it's about how that past links to my present and how that present connects to my future. Okay? So you have to be able to link what you're writing. There has to be a flow, there has to be consistency in anything you're writing. There has to be a sense of continuity. Maybe in the future, if I have to do videos about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship or any other scholarship, I'll be able to explain this better. Another thing is there's no party without jollof rice. Creativity is what makes your writing sweet. So spice up your writing with stories, use suspense, use humor. I don't see creativity in a lot of writings. So I was listening to I'm sure you know what Space is now on Twitter. There's a new feature on Twitter called Spaces. So Dr. Ola Orekunrin, the CEO of Flying Doctors, hosted a meeting today with her husband. And when she was talking, she said something. She said, she said, the Naira is a moving target. And I was like, wow. That's some sweet use of English. That's creativity. So what she's telling you is, you know what she said? What she has just said is, the Naira is always fluctuating. But imagine if you come into the room and you say, the Naira is always fluctuating, it's always here and there, and somebody comes in and says, the Naira is a moving target. Who is more exciting to listen to? And that is why I'm saying, look, guys, things like idioms, things like metaphors, things like similes, all those things, personalizations, you need to go and read those things again. You need to particularly open your dictionary and look for idioms. Because when you're writing as a graduate, you need to look, if you're applying to the university in the UK, you need to understand that the people reading your essays are native English speakers. So they use idioms, just like you, a Yoruba guy, will use proverbs and adages just anyhow. If you're speaking Yoruba, that's the same way adages, metaphors, similes, personifications, and all those things. That's the way it is to them. So you have to speak, not just speak English, but get your words spiced up, brothers. Don't just say, I found it difficult, right? Say something like, overcoming the mastering English was an Herculean task for me, right? My Achilles heel was geography. My Achilles heel was chemistry. Don't just say the most difficult subject I faced in school was chemistry. No. My Achilles heel. When you say my Achilles heel, the person feels like, this guy is sabi. You understand? So use words like that. Those are things we want to see. You understand? Say something like, so instead of saying studying in Nigeria is not easy, say studying in Nigeria is not a stroll in the park. The person will feel like, come on, this is English. Guys, you need to speak English. And I'm serious. Because you want the person not just to know that it's about language here. Well, we all did GNS in school, right? We call it use of English. And don't give yourself excuses, because Take, for instance, all you need to do to get a scholarship worth £25,000 is write 3,000 words. For God's sake, it's not a fair bargain. So why won't you put in all the efforts? I'm currently applying for a scholarship that is supposed to offer me about £15,000, right? And all I'm asked to present is 600 words. Guys, put it side by side, 600 words and £15,000. How does, measure it? So I have to make sure that I give it all I have. There's no party without jollof. Spice up your writing. Another thing is use stories, and stories should be beautifully written, right? Don't just write your stories anyhow. I'm going to give you, I've said I'm going to do this. So let me just do this and bring up the story I used for most of, so when I'll just bring up a story that was, this story was more like the story I used for all my applications, for all my statements of purpose, applying for, what's it called? Okay, let me use this one. I'm going to do a new share, and then I'm going to share this story with you. All right. If you can see my screen, let me know. Can you see what I'm sharing now? Okay, so this is a story. This is my story. This is my statement of purpose for University of Sussex in Brighton. And, well, they gave me admission, so it means I did a good job. But this was my statement of purpose. Please focus on my introduction. Don't worry about any other thing I wrote. Focus on my introduction alone. Raised on the savanna fields of Africa, I was used to extreme weather conditions. The blazing sun of Africa rose and retreated to its bedchamber over my head for many years, but nothing prepared me for the summer of 2005. The average daily temperature became so high that I had to stay back in school till late in the evenings before heading home. I was a 15-year-old at the time. No, I was a 15-year-old at the backyards of civilization, bearing the brunt for centuries of social and economic injustice perpetrated over many years. The experience of 2005 marked the beginning of my journey as a protagonist of climate change and a key motivation in my decision to enroll for a master's in climate change policy and development at the University of Sussex. That is my story. Right? That's my story. This story is just typically about me saying that I grew up on the farm. And it was hot. And just, you have an understanding of what I've shared, right? Right? But look at how I presented that story. Look at the use of language. Raised on the savanna fields of Africa. Right? That's, another person could have come out and say, I grew up on the savanna fields. No, not even I grew up on the savanna fields. I grew up on the farm. Myself and my father and my sisters, we used to go to the farm. And it used to be very hot. So I was used to extreme weather conditions. But 2005 was a different year in my life. Right? I didn't say all of that. You need to say the use of the way I try to. I'm not saying that's the best anybody could do, but I'm just saying that my goal was to write my story in a way that was dignifying. My goal was to write my story in a way that you will read it twice and be like, what is this gentleman saying? Now, you may not know, right? You may not know because you're reading this essay for the first time. But because I am applying to a course in climate change, the people in climate change know that the last 10 years, between 2005, as at 2005 was the hottest year in the history of the world. Do you understand? So a climate change professional knows that the 10th hottest year right now, because this is 2021, 2015, it's about 16 years now, right? Between that time and now, there have been additional hotter years, there have been hotter years, such that 2005 is now number 10 in the ranking of the hottest years in the history of the planet. But when I was writing that story, 2005 was the hottest year in recorded history. So a climate change professional knows why that guy is talking about 2005. Do you understand? And I connected my story to a problem, and then I said how that problem motivated me, even though, let's be honest with you, as at that time, as an average Nigerian teenager, the only thing on my mind was probably to be a doctor, right? I wasn't thinking about anything climate change and international development, but it happened. And I've been able to use that story. So I grew up on the farm. It used to be hot, right? And then look at how I say that. Let me open that essay. And I think I'll just use this and find a way to round off. But look at the critical things I did here. The average temperature became so high that I had to stay back in school till late in the evenings before heading home. I was a 15-year-old at the backyards of civilization. So I'm telling you, I grew up in a village. But I didn't say I grew up in a village. I told you I grew up at the backyards of civilization, bearing the brunt for centuries of social and economic injustice perpetrated over many years. So I am saying that the climate problem was created before I was born by the West, but I did not call them out. Do you understand? Then I went on to say that experience, I have narrated a story. How does that, what's the essence of that whole story? The story marked the beginning of my journey as a protagonist of climate change. And truth be told, from 2005 till now, it just woke me up to the consciousness of the fact that, look, the climate is changing. I have not been as outspoken as I would love to have been, but it actually has been a moment in my life that I keep remembering. So you want to look for a story, a time in your life that something happened that you can anchor every other thing to. Do you understand? Then look at my second paragraph. I said, protecting the environment has always been my North Star. Do you know what that means? It means that protecting the environment has always been my mission purpose in life. Well, I didn't say I have always been passionate about protecting the environment. Let me tell you what you should not use too much if you're writing today. Passion, motivate, inspired, drive, all those words have been abused. And the whole essence of this meeting is to help you be a standout writer. You want to stand out when you're writing. So I say protecting the environment has always been my North Star. Guided by this goal in my undergraduate research, I conducted the first successful in vitro trial on the use of microbes to fight weed in Nigeria to reduce reliance on toxic pesticides in weed control. So I'm telling you what I did for my undergraduate research. Somebody could have described in one paragraph. And then I went on to say that at a Green Clash competition hosted by the Faculty of Agricultural Sciences of Bafemi Awolowo University, my presentation on organic farming won me the Best Speakers Award. So I'm telling you that I am eloquent. I'm telling you that I speak well. I'm telling you that I can write and I can research, and I've written papers that were respected, okay? At both my undergraduate and master's level, I took interest in issues. Now, listen, I want to talk about the curriculum of this course. So see how I brought it up. At both my undergraduate and master's level, I took great interest in issues of ecological balance, sustainable food production, in the face of rapidly increasing population and declining resources. So I've talked about, if you go and look at any curriculum on climate change policy and all, you will see these issues there. All right? So look at how I have wrapped those things into my undergraduate studies. And true, they were part of what I did. Okay? But I have not sounded too technical. It's still simple. One of the most disheartening discoveries of my undergraduate studies was the accumulation of failed agricultural policies in Nigeria. Okay? In my own words, humor. Look at humor. Nigeria is a museum of failed agricultural policies. Humor. And the same trend is beginning to unfold in climate mitigation and adaptation policy frameworks in Nigeria, right? A case in point, another person would have said an example is, but I decided not to say an example because I want to stand out. So I said a case in point is the flamboyant nationally determined contributions, which was rolled out on the heels of the Paris Agreement. Now, you could say after the Paris Agreement. I didn't say after the Paris Agreement. I didn't say because of the Paris Agreement. I said on the heels of the Paris Agreement. I am speaking to an native English speaker, right? So when I use words like this, the person understands that, look, this guy understands the language and is smart. To understand climate governance and the nuances of policy design in sustainable innovation and development, I have chosen to study at the University of Sussex. These were things I picked from the curriculum and the course design on their website. I am deeply fascinated. Another person would have said, I am deeply interested, or I am deeply motivated, or I am deeply inspired. I said I am deeply fascinated by the works of Professor Caroline Roge, and the prospect of working under her tutelage in sustainable innovation and policy made Sussex my preferred choice. Whether I like the woman or I don't, we don't know. But I've written about her in such a captivating way that I move on to say that 8 months ago, now, the introduction was my story, okay? The second paragraph was about my skills and my competence and my history academically. The third paragraph talks about the reason why I chose this course and the school, the course, the description. The fourth paragraph now tells you about my professional aspiration. So I come here and I say 8 months ago, I joined the Nigeria Climate Innovation Center as the Communications and Knowledge Management Executive. What has become apparent to me over the last 8 months is the huge chasm in our knowledge of climate change policy and development as it relates to sustainable innovation. To solve the problem, I recently, blah, 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 what I did in my office. This program begins in July. I mentioned the name of the Lagos Business School and some other organizations I work with in my office, just to let them know about my professional experience. Do you get? And then I come to say I am aware of the diverse and inclusive nature of the University of Sussex. And I want to hail the school a little bit. I talk about my yearly experience and other things. And that's the end of it. I think I'm running out of time. So it's already over one hour. So let me just round off. Then what I've done now is expose you to what I've written. What should you do? Read what other people have written, okay? There's a model for success, and that's what I found out. There's both a success model and a failure model. Read to find out models, not to copy. So don't copy what I've done, because I'm not going to copy what you've done. I'm only going to look at the style and what you've done and write my own. Then the last thing, just write, okay? You will never be truly confident or satisfied with your work. Understand that a poor draft is better than a thought in your head. So you should just write, okay? And then write, these are the do's and don'ts. I'll just run over them because time is up. Don't just jump into answers, create a context. You remember the STAR model: situation, task, action, and results. What I see is create a context or a pretext for anything you want to talk about. So they say, what are the challenges you faced in life? Give them a background before you even begin to talk about the challenge. Okay? Then before you write about any school, do your research. Research about the school, research about the city, research about the professors, research about the rankings. Now, you read my essays. I didn't talk about the ranking of the University of Sussex anywhere. You know why? Because I know that other people are going to be talking about their ranking. So I decided to be quiet about it. I'm not going to tell them what they know. They know it. I'm going to talk about them describing other parts, other things that makes them special, right? Talk about the city, talk about the country, talk about a professor like I did or somebody you want to supervise you. And don't try to be someone else. Avoid too much bragging also, right? Don't say, the first thing people talk about is how they had a first class and how they got C. Don't brag, but then be very confident. Then get others to review your work. And for God's sake, use Grammarly. All right. Grammarly helps you to edit, takes away grammatical errors and also rates your work. So use Grammarly and then start early. The essay I'm working on right now is due for 31st of May, right? I'm done with the first one. I'm writing the second one. I should be done with the second one by Friday or thereabouts. I have the drafts in scattered places, but I have till 31st of May to make something happen. So start early, okay? Things you should not include in your statement of purpose: your name, your school, the grade you finished with, any information that can be gathered from your application or anything that they can see on your CV shouldn't come in because they've seen it already. So tell them something new, right? I think that would be all for now. So I'm done. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope I've been able to cover everything that's important. I can't say everything literally, but I hope that this has been useful. Thank you, Yemi, for starting and then staying to the end. So, and for everyone who has joined along the way, who have had to drop off to do something, thank you so much. Yemi, you are the only one here. So I'm just going to take, Michael said he had to leave, so he dropped a note. Someone said, man, you're dropping bombs. Oh, thank you. Okay, so Yemi, can you unmute and then let's have a conversation as I wrap up. Thank you. So you are the only one, so you can ask your questions. You can unmute. Your comments, questions, otherwise we'll have to wrap up and go home. Are you there? Hello? Okay. I can't hear you. You may want to type in the chat box. Okay, you're trying to unmute. Okay. Oh, really?
Okay. Yes, it's worked now.
All right.
Okay, so it was quite a nice meeting. I learned a lot, especially about the English aspects, like all those use of idioms and this thing that native speakers use. Most of the time, we just write our stuff in like plain English, just
exactly
our Nigerian English, so to speak, Nigerian English. We don't spice it or make it creative at all. At all. Because me currently now, I'm preparing for the IELTS, so that's why I even attended the meeting, because I wanted to like essays. I'm having issues with essays.
Yeah.
So like, let me come and learn one or two things. And most of the time, I figured out that in essays and in writing, we just put everything. It's just simple. It's uninteresting.
Exactly.
It doesn't, no suspense, nothing.
Yeah.
Just plain.
Yeah.
It's just plain. So, and I think someone has to do research, as you said. You have to like read a lot and have a wide, because before you can do all this, you have to have like a wide range of ideas. And you should know, you should have in-depth knowledge about the topic. So that is the most problem. To be honest, most problem is that now you say, okay, this scholarship has come out. It's closing on the 31st. Someone will start writing the essay on the 30th. That's okay. Please send me your own list. Someone will send you, and you just try to like change. There's no actual time for like you're not working on it. You're just let me paraphrase this guy's work. Paraphrase, and then let's say this guy wrote that he did this course. You just change some part. Like it's just as if you're just mimicking each other, just copying. And so there's no. The truth is that most people don't work on their essays. Just when it's deadline, just start writing something. Just start drafting, and without adequate preparations, there's nothing really you can do that's worth it like that.
Yeah, you're right. You know, one problem I have with Nigerian writers also is voice. We write in passive voice. You might want to research that. We write in passive voice. And passive is boring. Yeah. We're always writing in passive voice. I grew up in the village. My father died when I was 6. You know, it's just passive. It's just passive. But instead of saying growing up in the village and losing my father at the age of 5 suddenly made me wake up to the reality of the fact that you have to be responsible and have a voice for yourself. People usually wonder why I'm outspoken and ferocious and I stand for myself in class conversations. Very few knew that I had to learn as a child to be independent and be the voice for my mom in a polygamous setting where my mom was constantly bullied. This was the reason why I took a serious passion in gender bias and development and all those things. Look at the story.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
You get.
And I think our problem with Nigeria is the English. You might have the right idea in mind, but the limited vocabulary and the limited this thing is the English. Let me just say it's the English that is the problem now.
It's the English. And how do you know? See, how do you improve your English? Read. Now, context specific reading. So right now, it's too late for you to start going to read novels or say, I'm a writer, I write poems. So using metaphors will be easy for me, okay? But if you want to develop your writing, the easiest way is this. Go and listen to native UK English speakers. Find their podcasts. Find their YouTube channels. Okay? Number 2, read their essays. Either as columnists on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or columnists on Medium or newspapers. Read what they write. Don't even bother about reading essays. Just go and read native English speakers. Their columns on LinkedIn, on Medium, their essays on blogs, newspaper articles, listen to their blog, their podcasts, watch their videos on YouTube.
Yes.
Do you understand? So you see the way they throw words around. Like today, when Lola Orekunrin said the Naira is a moving target, I was like, damn.
Like this one is different too.
I'm like, this is, they just use words and you're like, come on. So your writing has to make your writing engaging, captivating, sweet to read. That's the key. There's no other way. Honestly, there's no other way. There's really no other way. So thank you for your time. I'm going to share. I don't like sharing my slides with people who don't attend my meetings. But I'm going to share with you. You're on the platform, right? You're on the scholarship platform.
Yes.
So send me a hi. Just say, hi, I'm Yemi. So I'll send you the 3 books I promised. I love to keep to my words. Yes. I'll send you the 3 books I promised. I'll send you this.
I'm guessing this book is among this Donald Asher graduate essay writing something.
I did not
Donald
even check
Asher
the names of the authors. I didn't even check the whatever. I didn't check the authors, but there are just 3 of them. I think it should be. Yeah, it should be. It's a popular book and it's available for free.
That Donald Asher, the book was actually the man explained a lot of stuff. If you see the essays in the book, that Donald Asher, different essays, that we are not writing anything. They are different. Like the essays are different. Like maybe there was one about one woman, like she was talking about. She writes up. She was going to nursing. Is it nursing or law graduate school? Then she talked about how. She talked about how maybe something happened in the past. Maybe she was. So she like they made a connection between the past and the present.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I have not even, you know, the trick for me is when I write, I read those books with speed reading. I did speed reading for many of those books. But you know, the interesting thing I do is I go to look at the samples they present and see what those guys write. Maybe because I already have a background in writing, okay? And I'm not doing that yet. So I just want to go and see what somebody has written and see how the person wrote it so that I can write my own too. And how did I know that it takes 60 seconds for them to make a decision? It's from the book also. So the books really help, like you said. They give you a lot of behind the scene things that makes you understand that these essays are actually more important than we think, right? So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for your time and everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, so let me end the meeting. I'm getting bombarded with calls. So then I'll share all the materials with you on WhatsApp, including the slides.
Okay, I'll send you a message right away. I'll send you a message right away. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do have a great day.
You too, brother.